Namaskar. Friends, in today's edition of Right Angle, I'd like to consider it as part 2 of the theme that I had expressed in the previous episode of Right Angle, and that was I had said that deep state and its puppets, and हमने ये बोला था कि how over the next or 2-3 months a concerted attempt would be made, or rather is being made, but there will be intensification of that process. That the momentum will be picking up in creating anarchy, damaging India's reputation, challenging the constitutional validity of its institutions, democratic institutions, and things of that sort. And last time I said we discussed how the Congress party is taking the lead role in having this no confidence motion. They have proposed it against our Vice President, the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, and now there is another concerted attempt on their part, the part of the Congress and its members, and as well as some of the members of its allied organizations or parties. They want to now impeach, and for that they will be introducing a motion of impeachment or no confidence against a sitting judge of the Allahabad High Court. As you know, the justices in the High Court and Supreme Court, they only can be removed from their posts through the process of impeachment in the parliament, when both the houses will be passing no confidence against them, one after another. That will be by the majority of their respective strength, respective strength of both the houses, and 2/3 of the member present and voting. So against this particular justice or the judge, they want to introduce that impeachment motion. I do not know whether it will be in the Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha, but they have announced it that they are going to impeach him. And I think for that impeachment, introducing that impeachment motion, there are 50 members signatures are required in Rajya Sabha and maybe Lok Sabha around 100. I'm not exactly very sure of that, but that process has started. Now, what crime the Honorable Justice in the Allahabad High Court committed in the eyes of the Congress party and its allied parties? The justice happens to be Justice Shekhar Kumar Yadav. What is his crime, quote unquote? What did he do? Before actually explaining or analyzing what he did or said, let's begin with what exactly he said. There is a Vishwa Hindu Parishad का एक legal cell का एक meeting हो रहा था. They had invited him to speak, and that was not a proper High Court proceedings, nor that it was in his judicial chamber. He made this statement or he said all these things. It was in a private organized function where he was a chief guest, and he discussed or he made some of the points. What points he made? He said I think I have gone through that particular text of that statement. I do not have it right before me to read it out, but I think some of the important points that came from his statement or speech there need to be shared. I'm sharing with you. What did he say? He said that, look, if it is a one country, India happens to be one country, then why there is no uniform civil code? That means which will apply to all its citizens. Number one. Number two, he said that there are certain value systems, and these value systems of any country is determined by the majority of the people who live there. Suppose हमारा जो cultural habit or that civilizational legacies, day-to-day practices, it goes without any saying that if say 70 to 80% of our population happen to be Hindus, unfortunately this number is declining, but still it is around 80%. So obviously the culture of one particular place or the day-to-day lifestyles will be determined by the practices or by the way or by the manners that are practiced by the majority of India, and they happen to be Hindus. So obviously, if any such rule or rather law that is made in India, that will be reflecting broadly the will and aspirations of the majority, and in this case it happens to be Hindus. Then he says that a true Hindu always believe in peaceful coexistence. There will be no discrimination against any community or any sect who doesn't happen to be a Hindu. Lekin there are certain things those of non-violence. For instance, Hindus are more accustomed to non-violence, and right from the very beginning of one's life, that means even a Hindu child always is inculcated this sense of non-violence right from his or her birth. But unfortunately that is not the case with some other communities. I do not know, I don't think that statement that I said that he's specifically talked of Muslims as such, but it was obvious he was talking of it, that slaughtering of the animals and things of that sort, which a Muslim child right from his very or her childhood does witness. 3. Of course, I said about that uniform civil law. That means these practices like polygamy, having more than one wife, and this practices of triple talaq. And there he also gave this example. There are also some so-called evil practices in Hinduism, like sati, dowry. He said that we did take care of that. These evil practices that were there in Hinduism by law have been made illegal, and that's why you do not see them there. Like as I said that anti-dowry legislations are there. There is no sati. Sati means earlier on the husband's death, if the wife is alive, she also was self-immolating at his husband's pyre. So things of that sort. If the Hindu religion, or rather that way of life, there are some reforms that are taking place. Why such reforms should not take place within the Muslim community? Like as I said, the practices like polygamy and this thing. If you very dispassionately look at it, I think that is a viewpoint. There is certainly, it is not something that would be matter of such a big concern that the judge will be impeached by parliament. Is it a big crime? For instance, Why they are saying it is a big crime? These people who really want to impeach him, this Congress party led by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and some other opposition parties, and particularly their members who happen to be Muslims, and then some Muslim organizations, they are this thing. What crime he has committed? One, he has gone and attended this event organized by Vishwa Hindu Parishad. Is Vishwa Hindu Parishad a proscribed, banned organization? The justices, whether they are of the High Court and Supreme Court, they do go and give lectures in important functions of important non-governmental organizations. Everywhere, in various forums they do go and they do express their views. If there is no bar on that, and I think it is a very normal practice, the judges do go and do address the socially organized events. So what crime he committed? If that organization happens to be Vishwa Hindu Parishad, then is it a banned organization that one cannot go and express or give a lecture there? Suppose he would have gone to some Rajiv Gandhi foundation, then nothing would have happened. He would have gone to some in Kerala, some or in Bengal, some leftist dominated some foundation or organizations, nothing would have happened. But it is a matter of big concern because he has gone to a VHP event. I think nothing can be more ridiculous than this. As long as VHP is not an illegal or banned organization, they have got every right to invite anybody, and it is up to the concerned official or the concerned person to accept that invitation or not. Second, he said something. I'm talking of their criticism. He said something that are highly communal because it is against Muslims. Okay, there are certain things he observed as I pointed it out to you. Some Muslims can feel that look, they are particularly singling out our religion. But then, did he say it in terms, strictly in terms of a religion, or from that religious angle that Islam is bad, Hinduism is great? No, he was talking of some wrong practices or evil practices that need to be reformed, like it has been reformed in Hinduism. These similar reforms should take place within the Muslim community. For instance, if you are saying that just because he meant something, or he addressed something that has relevance for the Muslim community and hence communal, then how do you explain many judges or many justices giving their bhasan in various forums against Hinduism? I'll just give two examples. I just was going through some and it doesn't require much of an exercise. A simple help through Google you will find out. I found out very quickly two such instances I will give. There was a gentleman, Justice H.N. Naganathan Das of Karnataka High Court. Do you know what he had said? Thus Vedas, Brahmins, Upanishads, Mahabharata, Ramayana are absolutely useless things. Absolutely useless phenomenon, wrong things. They are so exploitative that they create inequality. They created inequality in India. Inequalities and so-called nefarious caste system came to India from Vedas, Brahmins, Upanishads, Mahabharata and Ramayana. Who says this? a justice of Karnataka High Court. Was that a secular activity? Forget about that. Recently, you know that now he has become the Deputy Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. Both father is the Chief Minister, son is the Deputy Chief Minister. Uday Nath, Stalin, something. Uday is a very much, Sanskrit, word. Anyway, he, had said something about eradicating Sanatan Dharma from India. It became, very controversial. But matter went to the Tamil Nadu High Court. Somebody said that he should not say this. I'm not talking about his political lies like Congress, etc. For them it was a very secular thing that one of their topmost alliance partner's son and who is heading a government in Tamil Nadu saying that Sanatan Dharma must be eradicated. Do you know what the judge there says? Says that no action cannot be taken, though it is unfortunate that such things were said because Sanatan Dharma contains many important or very nice principles and it's which are of universal application. But the fact is that what exactly Sanatan Dharma talks of, one cannot codify it as long as this codification has come through the Sanskrit language. Sanskrit is a very elitist language, and since it is an elitist language and the so-called concepts of Aryan and Dravidas and things of that sort of come, so that is not the most authentic way of expressing. Though Sanatan Dharma cannot be equated as long as one talks of Sanskrit, as long as one talks of this Aryan and some the concepts like that. So no action can be taken. That Sanskrit is a very discriminatory and elitist language. So anything being expressed through that cannot be called to very authentic. So this is what a justice of Tamil Nadu High Court said. So my point is, how many times these justices, they have talked about this so-called wrong practices among the Hindus, like the women not being allowed in one particular temple in Kerala and things of that sort. But when they do say this, does anybody from this side or other, who really feel very hurt by this, one way or unilateral way of interpreting something and say that the judges must be impeached? Did you ever come across any such an example, any such an instance? Because they gave this sort of statement against some of the practices prevailing among the Hindus? Then, if some of these wrong practices prevailing within the Muslim community have been pointed out by a justice, this gentleman, Justice Yadav, is as much a justice as the other justices have been. If they can say something against the Hindus and nobody talks of any impeachment, what crime he has been committed that you are so particular that this gentleman or this justice must be impeached? Why these double standards? The third point in this context I would like to bring it to your attention is this: whether a judge, should say things like that. Because they say that some judicial judicial, ethics of what to do, what not to do. My point precisely is this, as I explained. If any ethical conduct among the judges you have to talk of, then that must be implemented uniformly. It only can't be valid if somebody say something against the Muslims. If somebody says something against the Hindus, then everything is all right. That is, as I said, an instance of, high double standards, rampant, double standards. You can, it doesn't have any reason, whatsoever to be supported. But anyway, even then, one can say that, look, in the year 1997, I think the full Supreme Court, they had, I think, all the justices who had sat together, and they had suggested, or they had, really enunciated what is called some restatement of values of judicial life. That means, do's and don'ts that must be practiced by the judges, whether they are in the High Court, Supreme Court, or even in the lower court. And there are 16 points of these restatement values of judicial life 1990. They had 16 points. Some of them are very good. One can't have any scope to disagree with them, like not being corrupt, being honest, not accepting gift, like not attending to the cases where your own relatives are involved, or your own relatives are arguing. They happen to be also lawyers. So much so that it is also said that if you are a judge and if your son is a practicing lawyer in that same court or elsewhere, he or she cannot even stay with you. So but I have gone through the 16 points, and I found that only one point number 8 of that 16 points, you can go and check it out. There are 16 points that, as I said, the restatement of values of judicial life, 1997. That number 8 had something. One can say that will be or can be said against what Justice Yadav did or said there the other day. And that says, a judge shall not, let me read it out, a judge shall not enter into public debate or express his views in public on political matters or on matters that are pending or likely to arise for judicial determination. One can say that, look, here, it is not a question of a political thing, because if he talked of these practices, this prevailing among certain communities belonging to a particular religious denomination, should he say that they are of political in nature? That again is very much debatable. Secondly, our own constitution in its directive principles talk of the country having a uniform civil code, and in fact there have been 3 or 4 such judgments given by the Supreme Court asking the government of India why you are not bringing out a uniform civil code. So he talked about that uniform civil code. Yes, there is some cases with the government law on that triple talaq perhaps are pending, but then one still can argue, if it is pending, is it pending in his court? It is pending in some other judges court. Maybe it is pending in the Supreme Court. For instance, you have instances, you have many such instances where the same Supreme Court have got suppose 2-3 different benches, and one particular theme, the similar theme goes to 2 or 3 different benches simultaneously. Of course, then the corrective action is made. They say that it will finally go to a bigger bench, but things of that sort. But this has happened, that similar matters of the similar theme going to 2 or different benches of the same court. So when such background is there before you. So to argue it that look something regarding triple talaq is pending, the ultimate decision of the court is pending, and then Mr. Yadav, Justice Yadav should not have, that also one has to take with a pinch of salt. That is very much debatable. So my point is this: on none of these grounds, if you totally view the things very dispassionately, I don't think Justice Yadav has committed such a big crime that you want to impeach him. That's why right in the beginning I said that this is nothing. This is nothing. It is but an attempt of your bigger goal plan to create anarchy in the country. That of the deep state, you now are saying, you have already said that it is no democracy because the people who are governing you after elections, they have not been elected. You have lost, you have been defeated, but you have been defeated quote unquote wrongly. So it is you who will determine the country's agenda. That will be the case. And if the elected government does it, then it is wrong because they have not won the elections according to it is you. That means you have totally devalued our electoral system. Now you are devaluing our judiciary. That the judiciary is compromise. The judiciary doesn't have people to really give you justice, to really speak up the truth. But as I explained, this is the real truth as far as this Justice Yadav's controversy, or rather the controversy that they say is linked with what Mr. Justice Yadav said the other day in Allahabad. So if I am in place of Justice Yadav, in fact I would be welcoming this impeachment motion because it would be giving me a great opportunity to talk to the people of the country through Rajya Sabha or through Lok Sabha, where they will be summoning you, because when the impeachment motion is on, the concerned justice is called to the parliament and he is asked to explain why he said what he said. I think this will be a grand opportunity, and I am 100% sure he will not be impeached because these people do not have the majority. That is not their real ambition. As I said, that it is a part of component of their strategy of bringing out anarchy in the country. But that's a different thing. What I am saying is this: it will be giving a great opportunity to Justice Yadav to tell either in the Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha, and through that to the people of the country at large in a much bigger platform, what the truth is. What he said is nothing but the truth. And I think that would be a great opportunity for him to reveal and to emphasize what the truth is. And he did not say anything other than the truth there in that Allahabad forum when he was invited to give a talk on. So let me stop here. Thank you very much for your patience. Namaskar.